I knew something was wrong the moment the phone started buzzing on my nightstand. The vibration felt urgent, frantic, like it already knew my life was about to split in two. I remember staring at the screen, my sister's name flashing, and feeling this cold pinch behind my ribs. She never called this early. She never called at all unless she wanted something. But that morning, the moment I answered, I heard her breathing fast and shaky, and she whispered, "You need to come home. Now. Before Mom tells you." Those words hit me like a punch. Before Mom tells you? Tells me what? I shoved on a jacket and raced out the door, my heart hammering, the world blurring as I sped down the empty streets. I kept replaying the last conversation I had with my mother, how distant she sounded, how quickly she ended the call. I'd told myself she was just tired, but the dread crawling up my throat told me I'd been lying to myself. When I walked into the house, my sister was standing in the hallway with swollen eyes and a smile that didn't belong on her face. A smile that felt rehearsed. My stomach twisted. "Where's Mom?" I asked, and instead of answering, she stepped aside like she was revealing a prize she'd already claimed. Mom was sitting at the dining table, a thick stack of papers in front of her, and a pen between her trembling fingers. She looked up slowly, and her voice cracked. "I made changes to the will." Everything inside me froze. My sister moved closer to Mom, placing a hand on her shoulder with this fake tenderness that made my blood boil, and she murmured, "It's for the best. You've been away for years. You wouldn't understand how much she needs me now." I felt heat rush straight into my face. "That's not true," I snapped, but my mother didn't look up. She just pushed the papers forward, and her voice shook when she said, "I'm leaving the house to her." The words slammed into me with a force I didn't know how to absorb. The house, the one my father built with his bare hands, the one he made both of his daughters promise would stay in the family equally, no matter what. I stared at my mother, waiting for her to tell me this was some cruel joke, but she kept her eyes glued to the table like she couldn't bear to see my reaction. My sister let out this little sigh, so soft but packed with triumph, and it sent a lightning bolt of rage through me. "You did this, didn't you?" I hissed, stepping toward her. She tilted her head, pretending to look wounded, even wiping beneath her eye like she was the victim. "I didn't do anything. Mom made the choice she thought was right." Mom finally whispered, "I don't want fighting. I don't have the strength." That broke something inside me. Not just because I was losing the house, but because she didn't trust me enough to even ask what I thought, what I needed, what this place meant to me. I backed away slowly, my chest twisting, my throat burning, and I could feel my sister's smile stabbing into my back as I left the house. The cold outside slapped me in the face, but it didn't matter. I couldn't breathe anyway. For the next few days, I walked around like a ghost. My mother wouldn't answer my calls. My sister kept sending me cheerful texts she knew would torment me. And every night, I replayed that moment, the pen in my mother's shaking hand, my sister hovering behind her like a shadow she couldn't escape. Something was off. Something smelled rotten. And I couldn't sleep until I figured out what it was. It happened 3 days later. I was lying awake staring at the ceiling when a single thought hit me so violently I jolted upright. My mother didn't write anything without help. She hated paperwork. She avoided reading fine print. So who prepared those documents? Who convinced her to sign so quickly? The question burrowed into me like a drill until I grabbed my keys and drove straight to my mother's lawyer. But when I asked for information, the lawyer frowned and said, "We haven't updated her will in 8 years. My skin went cold. "So who wrote the new one?" He stared at me, confused, and said gently, "There is no new one. Not from us." My heart stopped, then sprinted, then twisted into a knot of fire. My sister had lied. Lied so convincingly, she made my mother believe the lie too. I rushed back into my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles ached. I needed proof. I needed to see the signatures. I needed to see those pages again. I drove to the house, pounding on the door until my sister opened it with that same smug calm I wanted to rip off her face. "What do you want now?" she asked, crossing her arms. Where are the papers? I pushed past her before she could answer, heading straight to the dining room, but the table was empty. My pulse spiked. Where are they? Tell me now. She sauntered in slowly, leaning against the doorway with a smirk. I burned them. My breath punched out of me. You, what? Why? She shrugged, her voice light, airy, evil. Mom didn't need the stress of you fighting her decision. So I took care of it. I felt this dizzy rush, a swirl of shock, anger, disbelief. You forged them. You manipulated her. You stole everything. She laughed softly, tapping her nails against the wall. I didn't steal. I just secured what I deserved. Something inside me snapped cleanly, quietly, like a bone splitting beneath skin. I didn't scream. I didn't shove her. I just stepped closer until our faces were inches apart and whispered, I'm going to prove what you did. Her smirk twitched. Just a little. Enough for me to see the crack. But before I could push further, a soft voice drifted down the hallway, my mother's voice, trembling. Stop, please, just stop. My sister's smile returned instantly as she rushed to Mom, wrapping an arm around her and shooting me a pitiful look over her shoulder. She's upsetting you again. I told her to leave us alone. Us. The word stung. Like I was no longer part of the family at all. My mother slumped against my sister, exhausted, frail, confused. And I realized then, the cruelty wasn't just what my sister did. It was how she did it. Quietly. Steadily. Manipulating Mom's fear of conflict, her declining memory, her guilt over my father's death, twisting it all into this weapon she used to cut me out piece by piece. That night, I sat in my car in the driveway, gripping the steering wheel as tears blurred my vision. My sister was winning. She was poisoning my mother against me. And if I didn't act fast, I'd lose everything. Worse, I'd lose the truth. The next morning, I started digging. I visited neighbors. I called my mother's doctor. I even went to the pharmacy. Slowly, piece by piece, a horrifying picture formed. My sister had taken control of everything, her appointments, her medications, even her phone. She intercepted calls. She told neighbors I had abandoned Mom. She told Mom I didn't care enough to visit. She isolated her, made herself the only voice Mom listened to. But the final blow came at the pharmacy, when the pharmacist, an older woman with gentle eyes, sighed and said, Your sister keeps picking up your mom's anxiety meds early. Way earlier than recommended. My stomach dropped. Earlier? How early? Sometimes a full week. A cold wave washed over me, dread, shock, fury. The dosage was already strong. Too strong. If my sister had been giving Mom extra, she could make her more confused, more docile, more dependent. She could make her sign anything. I walked out of the pharmacy in a fog, the world too bright, too sharp, spinning around me like it was trying to knock me over. My sister wasn't just manipulative. She wasn't just greedy. She was drugging our mother. Then the rage hit, pure, scorching, electric. And I knew this wasn't just about the house anymore. This was about saving my mother. I drove back to the house like a storm, my hands shaking on the wheel, my heart hammering through my ribs. I didn't know what I'd do when I arrived, but I knew I wouldn't leave without the truth. When I pushed open the front door, the house was too quiet, like it was holding its breath. I stepped inside slowly, every nerve sharp, every sound amplified. Then I heard it, my mother's voice drifting from the living room, soft, slurred, confused. I followed the sound and froze in the doorway. My sister was standing over her, holding a glass of water and a pill bottle. A chill knifed up my spine. Mom looked dazed, her eyes heavy, her head tipping forward like she couldn't stay awake. My sister didn't even notice me at first. She just kept whispering, Take it, Mom, you need this. You always feel better after. I felt my whole body ignite. Stop. The word ripped out of me before I could think. My sister jerked around, startled, but then that mask slid over her face again, smooth and sweet. You're imagining things, she said calmly. Mom needs her medication. Unlike you, I'm actually here taking care of her. I stepped toward her slowly, each breath trembling with rage. Give me the bottle. She laughed. Actually laughed. You think I'm scared of you? You think Mom will believe anything you say after everything you've put her through? She turned her back to me, ready to drop the pill into my mother's palm, and something inside me exploded. Don't you dare. I lunged forward and snatched the bottle out of her hand. She shrieked, spinning on me, clawing at my arm. Give that back. Mom needs. No, she doesn't. I opened the bottle with shaking hands and poured the pills into my palm. Then I looked at her, really looked at her. These are weeks ahead of schedule. Weeks. Her eyes flickered. Just for a second. Just long enough to confirm everything. I turned toward Mom, kneeling beside her. Mom, did she tell you to take more than one a day? My mother's lips trembled. I don't know. She said I was getting forgetful. My throat tightened. She isn't helping you, Mom. She's fogging you. Keeping you confused so you'll do whatever she wants. My sister lunged again, trying to grab the pills from my hand, but I shoved her back so hard she stumbled into the wall. She glared at me with pure venom. You're ruining everything. I didn't care. I pulled out my phone and flipped on the camera. As soon as the screen lit up, her face changed. Panic. Real panic. What are you doing? I held the pill bottle up to the camera, my voice shaking with fury. Mom's anxiety meds. Picked up a week early. Over and over. Then I turned the camera on her, catching her wide, terrified eyes. Want to explain why? She lunged again, this time trying to grab my phone. Don't you dare record me. But it was too late. The mask was gone. Her voice was shrill, desperate, cracking. My mother stared at the two of us, her eyes flicking back and forth, fear flooding her face. Stop, both of you, please. I turned to her and my voice softened. Mom, look at me. Just look at me. Do you remember signing Newell papers? She frowned, her face tightening. I remember. She brought them. She said I had forgotten the last version. My sister shouted, she's sick. You're confusing her. No. I stepped closer to my mother. She's remembering the truth. You tricked her into signing papers no lawyer ever drafted. My sister froze. Completely. The color drained from her face. I continued filming. Mom, the lawyer hasn't updated anything in 8 years. There is no new will. She forged everything. My mother's eyes widened slowly, like a curtain lifting. She stared at my sister, really seeing her. And her lips parted in horror. Is that true? My sister broke. The rage snapped out of her in a scream. I deserve this house. I deserve everything. You gave her everything her whole life. You never loved me like you loved her. The room went dead silent. Even the walls felt stunned. My mother's face crumpled. Oh, sweetheart, that's not. But my sister wasn't listening. She was sobbing now, the confession pouring out of her like poison spilling from a cracked bottle. I spent my whole life in her shadow. I did everything for you. Everything. And she leaves for a few years and suddenly she gets the house? She left you alone. She didn't care. The words hit me like blows. I stepped forward slowly. I didn't leave you alone. I left because you made home impossible. Every day was a war with you and I couldn't breathe anymore. My sister wiped her face, her expression twisting into bitter fury. You always think you're the victim. You think you're better than me. No. My voice shook. I think you're dangerous. My mother began crying, soft, heartbroken sobs that shattered me. I wrapped my arm around her, and for the first time in years, she leaned into me. My sister sank to the floor, her face in her hands, rocking as she muttered, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just wanted something that was mine. I looked at her, but I felt nothing. No pity. No rage. Just the realization that she had crossed a line she could never return from. I cupped my mother's cheek gently. Mom, we're going to fix this. Together. And she nodded, trembling, but clear-minded in a way I hadn't seen in months. The next hours blurred into a storm of phone calls, doctor, lawyer, therapist, pharmacist, all documented, all recorded. Every piece of evidence lined up like falling dominoes. And my sister, she didn't even fight anymore. She sat on the couch staring at nothing, her breath hiccuping, her mascara streaking down her cheeks like the truth had finally drowned her. In the end, my mother rewrote the will properly at the lawyer's office, with full mental evaluation and medical supervision. Not out of revenge, not out of punishment, but out of clarity. The house was split equally. But she added something else, something my sister didn't expect. A mandatory conservatorship review, investigating emotional manipulation, over-medication, and coercive control. My sister would need psychological evaluation before managing any parental care again. When the lawyer read the line aloud, my sister let out the soft, broken sound, half a sob, half a gasp, and whispered, "You destroyed me." I looked at her calmly. "No, you destroyed yourself. I just stopped you before you could take Mom down with you." We walked out of the office, the sunlight warm on my face, Mom's hand tucked tightly into mine. For the first time in years, she felt present, awake, safe. As we reached the car, she squeezed my fingers and whispered, "I'm sorry for not seeing, for letting things go too far." I shook my head. "We're moving forward, Mom. That's all that matters now." But later that night, sitting on the porch of the house my father built, listening to the quiet breathing of a home finally free from secrets, I realized something important, something sharp, painful, and true. Family betrayal doesn't start with big acts. It starts with small excuses, little lies, tiny moments where someone decides your pain is worth their advantage. And if you don't confront it, it grows teeth. I looked out at the fading light, exhaling slowly, letting the lesson settle deep into my bones. And if you're listening to this, if someone in your own family has been crossing lines you keep forgiving, don't wait for it to get worse. Don't wait for the damage to be irreversible. Protect yourself early. Protect the people you love. And if stories like mine help you feel seen, if they remind you you're not alone in the chaos of family betrayal, then stay with me. Subscribe, follow, whatever button you see. Because I'm not done telling the truth and you're not done hearing it.